The next way that I'm going to show you, I'll just do another panel for this, and I'll draw another billboard for us here. The next way I'm going to show you is actually doing this in a real 3D space. And so this real 3D space stuff is something that can only be done in Storyboard Pro 3D and Harmony. But I want to show it to you just so that you know that the possibilities for this exist as well. So in this case, I can put text on a billboard. This is really cool. Okay, so now I'll select my text and with my select tool, whoops, sorry, and I'll make it larger. Maybe I'll hold down Shift to constrain the proportions on that. So for this one, instead of actually, using my perspective tool on it, what I'll do instead is I'll promote my scene to 3D. And so when my scene is a 3D scene, I can take my transform tool and I can actually, select that layer there that has the text in it and the billboard in it, and I can actually physically move it around in a 3D space. And in Storyboard Pro 3D, if you hold down Command and Shift, you can rotate around your stage view to check out what that's actually doing. And you can set some elements up here in space, right? So maybe I also want to have another layer. I just hit the Look At selected layer to snap to that position where the background is. So let's say I also have a road here. And, I should probably do this slightly nicer than I'm going to do it right now, but I'll just do it really, really badly. Forgive me. So let's say this is like a freeway, very, very, very bad looking freeway. Okay, but so then I could take this one and I could take this layer and actually just plop that down as well, putting it next to my billboard. And if I want to just align these two together, the billboard probably is at an angle in relation to the road. When you look at billboards in space, they might be at a complete right angle to the road. They might be at a slight, I think they're usually at a slight angle inwards, not like a full 90-degree angle. So then you can align these up so that the bottom of that billboard kind of corresponds to the level of the road. And now what's cool about this, and what I think is a little bit nicer about doing it the 3D way than doing the regular 2D way, is if you put a camera move on this, like if I select my camera tool, first frame, last frame, and I do something like I'll zoom my camera in or I'll zoom it out. Let's take the last frame there, snap to the selected keyframe, and I can zoom it in. And then I could even, if the purpose of this shot is to focus in on this billboard, I could even focus in on there and actually rotate this guy around. So let me just go back to my stage view here for a second, and I'll just figure out what I want to do with this camera. So maybe I want to just slightly angle it towards that billboard there. So it looks like I might have got a slight curve going on there. But now if I take a look at this over the course of my panel, having that 3D space allows you to get more out of that shot. And it really depends on what you're trying to do in that shot, but you might even want to start down here at a low angle. Like maybe you're at the car level to begin with in the shot, and you're quite zoomed out. I'm just giving some examples here. And then as you go through that shot, you're going to lift up and focus in on this guy. And if we really want to see what it looks like, I like to turn on the camera mask, and then I can really have a feeling of that shot as I'm pulling through here. So maybe on that last frame, I'll select the frame, snap to the selected keyframe. I might want to be sort of looking down from a bird's eye view on this frame, so I can look down a little bit more on this one, just to really show what that camera angle now is doing. Whereas if I did a similar thing in the 2D scene, let's go back to this 2D example, and I'll actually just draw the road in perspective in 2D, just to kind of show you what the difference looks like. So now, I can't actually rotate around my scene with Command and Shift because it's not a 3D scene. If I select my camera, I create first and last keyframes, instead of being able to rotate in perspective, I can zoom in on this. For sure I can zoom in on this one. I can get right in there. And for the first frame I can zoom out. The thing that you can't get is you can't get that sense of the low angle. So instead of having the low angle and then the upper angle, you're just kind of zooming in on this. Which is fine, but maybe you can see the difference for the second one. And let me just switch away from my camera tool to make this a little bit more obvious, and I'll zoom in on here so we can really see. So here's the first example where it's a flat frame that you're zooming in on. And then here's the second example coming up here where you're starting from a low angle and then you're coming up and into this billboard. So I think you guys can see the difference. I don't think there's a better way, like there's no right way and wrong way. It really depends on what you're going to do for your final product. So if your final product is an animation and that animation is going to be done flat, then plan it flat. If your final product is a 3D animation and it's going to be done with a 3D scene, plan it in 3D. If it's going to be a live action one, plan it in 3D, in my humble opinion, so you get a bit more of a sense of what's really happening with that shot. Same thing goes for Harmony. For Animate and Animate Pro, you do not have the ability to rotate layers in all axes in this way. But with Harmony, you can rotate. Actually, sorry, you do in Animate Pro as well. So in Animate Pro and Harmony, you can rotate layers in all directions by enabling 3D on that layer. And then you can position those layers in space. So if you plan your billboard and draw your billboard flat, you could enable 3D or attach it to a peg layer and enable 3D on that peg layer, and you could actually move that in space just the same way that I did here. So hopefully that just gave you guys a few ideas of some fun things to try out now if you have to do something like text on a billboard or text in perspective or working on scenes that are done in perspective. And I will see you guys next week.